Hello there, and welcome to the Gentle Nature channel. Tonight, let yourself settle into a quiet place where science meets wonder, where the invisible becomes visible through gentle understanding. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine releasing the weight of the day. We're going to explore something extraordinary that exists all around you right now, in this very moment. The soft energy that surrounds every living being, the luminous field that connects you to everything natural and alive. This is a story about the human biofield, that delicate shimmer of energy that flows around your body like morning mist around a mountain. It's a phenomenon that has been observed, measured, and contemplated across centuries, a bridge between the physical world and something more subtle, more radiant. Close your eyes if you wish and simply listen as we wander through this landscape of light and energy, where your body becomes a gentle beacon in the quiet darkness. You might not see it with your ordinary eyes, but around you right now, extending a few feet in every direction, there exists a field of electromagnetic energy. Scientists call it the biofield, and it pulses and flows with every heartbeat, every breath you take, like the aurora borealis dancing silently across the northern sky. This energy moves in patterns too subtle for most to perceive, yet undeniably present. Your heart, that faithful companion beating in your chest, creates the strongest electromagnetic signal in your body. With each contraction, it generates an electrical impulse that radiates outward in concentric waves, like the ripples that spread across a still pond when a single leaf falls from an overhanging branch. These waves can be detected several feet away from your body, a silent song your heart sings to the space around you. When you place your hand over your chest, feeling that steady rhythm, you're touching the source of your body's most powerful energy field. The heart's electromagnetic field is approximately 5,000 times stronger than the field produced by your brain. It spreads out in a toroidal shape, like an invisible apple surrounding your entire body, with your heart at the core. This field changes with your emotions. When you feel gratitude or love or deep peace, the pattern of your heart's electromagnetic signature becomes more coherent, more organized. Scientists have measured this. The waves become smooth and harmonious, like the gentle rolling of ocean swells on a calm day, each wave following the last in perfect rhythm. Imagine standing in a meadow at dawn when the grass is still wet with dew and the air smells of earth and green growing things. Your biofield extends around you, invisible but present, interacting with the fields of the trees, the flowers, the very ground beneath your feet. Everything alive carries its own field, its own soft glow of energy. The human brain, nestled safely in the quiet darkness of your skull, generates its own electromagnetic patterns. These are your thoughts, your dreams, your quiet contemplations, all of them creating waves that ripple through the biofield like wind moving through wheat. When you think, tiny electrical signals jump between neurons, and these signals combine to create rhythms: alpha waves when you're relaxed, theta waves as you drift towards sleep. Ancient traditions spoke of auras, of light bodies, of energy sheaths that surround the physical form. What they perceived through intuition and careful observation, modern instruments can now measure in laboratories. The biofield has always been there, a constant companion you've carried since before you were born, when you were just a tiny spark of life in the warm darkness of the womb. Your skin, that soft boundary between inner and outer worlds, conducts electricity. Every cell membrane in your body maintains an electrical charge, like millions of tiny batteries working in harmony. When these charges shift and flow, they contribute to the overall field that surrounds you, a living constellation of energy moving in patterns too complex to fully comprehend, yet simple in their fundamental nature. Think of how a tree communicates with the forest around it through networks of fungi beneath the soil, sending chemical messages and sharing resources. Your biofield may serve a similar purpose, a way of communicating information that extends beyond words, beyond touch, into the realm of pure energy. When you walk into a room and sense the mood without anyone speaking, you might be reading the combined biofields of everyone present, interpreting their energy like a sailor reads the wind. The cells in your body are constantly producing biophotons, ultra-weak emissions of light that flicker and glow at levels far below what your eyes can detect. Every second, thousands of these tiny photons of light are released from your cells, especially from your hands and face. You are, quite literally, a being of light, glowing softly in the darkness like a firefly on a summer evening, though your radiance is 1,000 times more subtle. When you breathe deeply, oxygen molecules flow into your lungs and cross into your bloodstream, where they're carried by red blood cells to every corner of your body. This process of respiration creates subtle electrical changes across cell membranes, adding to the complex dance of your biofield. Each breath you take sends gentle waves of change throughout your energy field, like wind moving across the surface of a lake. The Earth itself generates a magnetic field, vast and protective, shielding all life from the harshness of space. Your biofield exists within this larger field, connected to it, influenced by it. Some researchers believe that the human biofield may be sensitive to the Earth's magnetic rhythms, to the daily pulse of our planet as it turns beneath the sun. You are not separate from nature. You are woven into its electromagnetic fabric. In the morning, when sunlight first touches your skin, photons from the sun interact with your biofield, with the molecules in your body. This isn't just warmth you're feeling, it's an exchange of energy, a conversation between your field and the light that has traveled 93 million miles to reach you. The sun knows you in its own way through this ancient dialogue of light and energy. Your nervous system is an intricate network of electrical pathways, carrying signals from your brain to your toes, from your fingertips back to your spine. These signals travel at speeds up to 268 miles per hour, creating currents of electricity that flow through you like rivers of light. All of this activity contributes to your biofield, making it dynamic, ever-changing, responsive to every thought and sensation. Water makes up about 60% of your body, and water is remarkably responsive to electromagnetic fields. The molecules align themselves in the presence of electrical charges, creating liquid crystal structures that flow and shift. Your biofield moves through this water, shaped by it, carried by it, like moonlight reflecting on the surface of a quiet stream. When you sleep, your biofield doesn't rest. It continues its gentle work, maintaining the processes of healing and renewal that happen in the deep hours of night. Your heart keeps beating its electromagnetic song. Your cells keep glowing their soft biophoton light, and your energy field continues to extend around you like a protective cocoon holding you safe in the darkness. The meridians described in traditional Chinese medicine, those invisible channels through which life energy flows, may correspond to pathways of particularly strong electromagnetic activity in the body. Modern imaging techniques have found evidence of areas along these traditional meridian lines where electrical conductivity is different from surrounding tissue, as if ancient healers could somehow perceive the routes of energy flow that instruments would not verify until thousands of years later. Your hands, those marvelous tools of creation and connection, have particularly active biofields. Practitioners of various healing traditions report sensing energy moving through their palms, and sensitive instruments can indeed detect electromagnetic emissions from the hands that change with intention and focus. When you place your hand on your chest, on your forehead, on any part of your body that needs comfort, you're creating a circuit of energy, a loop of electromagnetic harmony. The heart's electromagnetic field carries information beyond just timing and rhythm. Recent research suggests that the pattern of the heart's field may encode emotional states, creating what could be called an underscore quote underscore zero underscore of your feelings. When you experience joy, your heart's field takes on one characteristic pattern. In moments of calm, another. These patterns radiate outward, subtle but present, like invisible ripples in a pool. Consider how certain people seem to have a calming presence. When they enter a room, the atmosphere shifts toward peace. This may be more than metaphor. Their biofield, centered in a coherent heart rhythm, may actually influence the biofields of those around them, encouraging resonance, harmony. You've experienced this, perhaps sitting beside someone who makes you feel immediately at ease, though no words have been spoken. Trees, those patient giants of the forest, have their own electromagnetic signatures. Scientists measuring the biofields of ancient oaks and towering pines have found that these fields change with the seasons, with the weather, with the time of day. When you stand beneath a tree and feel that particular quality of peace, you may be experiencing an interaction between your biofield and the tree's quiet electromagnetic presence. The pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped structure deep in your brain, has been called by various names throughout history. The third eye, the seat of the soul. This small gland is sensitive to electromagnetic fields and produces melatonin, the hormone that guides your sleep. It sits at the geometric center of your brain, surrounded by the swirling currents of neural electricity, perhaps serving as a kind of antenna for your biofield. Your blood, flowing through 70,000 miles of vessels in your body, carries iron in its hemoglobin molecules. This iron gives blood its red color and also makes it responsive to magnetic fields. As your blood circulates, pushed by the electromagnetic pulse of your heart, it creates its own subtle magnetic patterns, adding another layer to the complex symphony of your biofield. When you stand on the earth with bare feet, a practice some call grounding or earthing, electrons from the Earth's surface can flow into your body. The planet itself carries a slight negative charge, and your body can absorb these electrons through direct contact. Some researchers believe this exchange may help stabilize your biofield, creating a direct electromagnetic connection between you and the ground beneath your feet, like a tree drawing energy from the soil. The biofield extends beyond the physical boundary of your skin by several feet, perhaps more. It's strongest close to your body and gradually fades with a distance. But it doesn't simply end at some definite line. Instead, it dissolves into the background electromagnetic environment, like morning mist dissipating into clear air. Where you end and the world begins becomes a question with no simple answer. Every time your muscles contract, whether you're walking, reaching for something, or simply shifting position, electrical signals from your nerves trigger the movement. These signals are strong enough to be detected on the surface of your skin, strong enough to contribute to your biofield. Your every motion creates ripples in your energy field, like a dancer moving through water, leaving swirling patterns in their wake. The stomach and intestines, that long winding path where food becomes energy, generate their own electrical rhythms. The smooth muscles of your digestive system contract in waves, pushing nutrients through your body, and these contractions are guided by electrical pulses. Your gut has its own nervous system, sometimes called the second brain, with about 100 million neurons generating their own electromagnetic patterns. Crystals, those geometric arrangements of atoms found in minerals and stones, have specific electromagnetic properties. Quartz crystals, for instance, can generate tiny electrical voltages when pressure is applied to them. This property, called piezoelectricity, is why quartz is used in watches and electronic devices. Ancient peoples carried stones and crystals, perhaps sensing on some level their subtle electromagnetic qualities, their way of interacting with the human biofield. The air around you is not empty, but filled with ions, molecules that carry electrical charges. After a thunderstorm, when the air feels fresh and energizing, it's rich in negative ions. Near waterfalls, on mountain peaks beside the ocean, the concentration of these charged particles increases. Your biofield interacts with this ionic environment, influenced by it, perhaps energized by it, like a sail catching a favorable wind. When you breathe in through your nose, the air passes over thin bones called turbinates, which are lined with cells that respond to the flow. This creates subtle electrical currents that may stimulate the olfactory nerves in ways that extend beyond simple smell. The act of breathing through your nose may help organize and strengthen your biofield, which is why many meditative traditions emphasize nasal breathing for calm and centeredness. The retina of your eye, that delicate sheet of light-sensitive cells at the back of each eyeball, generates electrical signals in response to photons of light. When you watch a sunset, the colors washing over you are being converted into electromagnetic impulses that travel along your optic nerves to your brain. Vision itself is an electromagnetic phenomenon. Light transformed into electrical pattern, transformed into your experience of seeing, all of it contributing to your biofield. Your biofield is not separate from you. It is you, extended into space. Just as a candle is inseparable from its glow, you are inseparable from your field of energy. The boundary of your body is permeable to this energy. It flows through you and around you, connecting your inner world with the outer environment in continuous exchange. Bees navigate using Earth's magnetic field, sensing it through magnetite crystals in their bodies. Birds migrate across thousands of miles, guided by magnetic perception. Humans, too, have trace amounts of magnetite in our brains, in the bones of our noses and sinuses. While we've largely lost conscious awareness of magnetic fields, the ability may still exist, dormant, a whisper of ancient navigation systems that once guided our ancestors across unfamiliar lands. The concept of, quote, four, that invisible bubble around each person that feels uncomfortable when violated, may be partly related to biofields. When someone stands too close, their field overlaps with yours, creating a subtle electromagnetic interaction that your nervous system registers as discomfort. The comfortable distance varies by culture, but the phenomenon itself appears universal, suggesting a biological basis in energy field interaction. In moments of deep meditation or prayer, when thought becomes quiet and the body relaxes completely, the biofield's patterns change. Brain waves slow into alpha and theta rhythms. The heart's electromagnetic signature becomes more coherent, and some researchers report that the biofield becomes larger, more expansive. It's as if in letting go of mental effort, you allow your energy field to expand naturally, like a flower opening to the sun. Your voice, when you speak or sing, creates vibrations that move through your body. These sound waves are mechanical vibrations, but they interact with the electrical systems of your cells and nerves, creating complex patterns in your biofield. Singing, humming, chanting. These practices have been used for thousands of years to create states of calm and healing, perhaps in part because of how they organize and harmonize the biofield through vibration. The field around your head, where thought and electrical activity are concentrated, is sometimes depicted in art as a halo or a crown of light, while classical paintings show these as solid golden circles. The biofield around the head is more dynamic, constantly shifting with your thoughts, your focus, your state of consciousness. When you concentrate deeply, certain areas of your brain become more electrically active, and the field around your head changes accordingly. Emotional states create measurable changes in the electromagnetic field of your heart. Frustration produces irregular, jagged patterns in the field, like a rough sea churning under stormy skies. Appreciation and care create smooth, coherent waves, like gentle swells on a calm ocean. This isn't metaphor, it's measurable reality, documented by sensitive instruments that can detect these shifting patterns from several feet away. The phenomenon called entrainment occurs when two systems with different rhythms come into proximity and gradually synchronize. You've seen this with pendulum clocks hanging on the same wall, eventually swinging in unison. The same principle may apply to biofields. When you spend time near someone, your heart rhythms may begin to influence each other, finding a shared frequency, a common electromagnetic language. Ancient healing temples were often built in locations with specific geological properties, near springs, on certain rock formations, in places where Earth's magnetic field had particular characteristics. The builders may have understood intuitively what modern research is beginning to confirm, that the environment's electromagnetic properties can influence the human biofield, supporting or disrupting its natural patterns. Your skin's surface constantly exchanges ions with the air around you, a subtle electrical dance at the boundary of your body. This exchange varies with humidity, temperature, and air pressure, which is why weather changes can affect how you feel. Your biofield is sensitive to these atmospheric shifts, like a sail responding to changes in the wind, adjusting itself to the electromagnetic climate around you. The practice of laying on of hands, found in healing traditions across cultures, may work partly through biofield interaction. When a practitioner's hands hover near or gently touch someone, their electromagnetic fields overlap and interact. Some studies suggest that skilled practitioners can influence the biofield of the person they're working with, though the mechanisms remain mysterious, like moonlight's effect on tides, observed, documented, but still full of wonder. Flowers, in their brief and beautiful lives, generate their own subtle electromagnetic fields. The patterns of these fields may help guide pollinating insects to the blooms, like lighthouse beacons calling ships through fog. When you bring flowers into your home, you're bringing these living fields of energy, these small, bright signatures of life, into your immediate environment, where they interact gently with your own field. The field around your body is influenced by the Earth's daily electromagnetic rhythms. The Schumann resonances, electromagnetic waves that circle the planet in the space between Earth's surface and the ionosphere, pulse at frequencies that overlap with certain human brainwave patterns. Some researchers suggest that your biofield may naturally synchronize with these planetary rhythms, connecting you to the electromagnetic heartbeat of the Earth itself. Laughter changes your biofield in measurable ways. When you genuinely laugh, your breathing pattern changes, your heart rate variability shifts, and the electromagnetic field around you reorganizes into more coherent patterns. Joy is not just an emotion. It's an energetic state, a specific configuration of your biofield that radiates outward, potentially affecting those around you with its particular frequency. The practice of spending time in nature, forest bathing, as it's called in Japan, may benefit partly through biofield interaction. Trees and plants generate their own electromagnetic signatures, and the forest as a whole creates a complex electromagnetic environment. Walking among trees, you're immersed in this field, your biofield interacting with the countless subtle energies of the living forest around you. Your biofield doesn't sleep when you do. Throughout the night, as your conscious mind rests, your field continues its work, maintaining cellular processes, coordinating healing, keeping your heart beating and your lungs breathing. The field is like a faithful guardian watching over you in the darkness, requiring no effort or awareness from you, simply being, simply continuing its endless flow. Water in motion, streams, waterfalls, ocean waves, generates negative ions and subtle electromagnetic effects. The refreshing feeling you get near moving water may be partly due to these effects on your biofield. The ancient practice of bathing in streams and springs may have benefits beyond simple cleanliness. As your biofield interacts with the electromagnetic properties of flowing water, the chakra system described in yogic traditions places centers of energy at specific points along the body's midline, from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. Modern research has found that these traditional locations correspond to areas of high electromagnetic activity, major nerve plexuses, endocrine glands, regions where many bioelectric pathways converge, like crossroads in the body's energy network. Your biofield extends not just around, but also through your body. Every cell, every organ, every system is permeated by this field of electromagnetic energy. You are like a sponge soaking in water. The boundary between the solid structure and the liquid presence is not truly separable. Your biofield and your physical body are two aspects of one unified whole, inseparable as the ocean and its waves. The sun's electromagnetic radiation reaches Earth in many forms: visible light, infrared warmth, ultraviolet energy. When you step into sunlight, your biofield interacts with this incoming energy, absorbing some frequencies, reflecting others, changing in response to the sun's influence. You are designed for this interaction, shaped by millions of years of evolution under this particular star's light. Intention appears to influence the biofield, though the mechanisms remain mysterious. When you focus your attention on a specific part of your body, blood flow to that area increases, electromagnetic activity changes, and sensitive instruments can detect alterations in the biofield around that region. The mind's influence on the body's energy field suggests a deep connection between consciousness and electromagnetic phenomena. Walking barefoot on the earth, you become part of an electrical circuit. Electrons flow between you and the ground, balancing electrical charges, potentially stabilizing your biofield. The soles of your feet are rich in nerve endings and acupuncture points, places where the biofield may be particularly permeable to this exchange with Earth's energy. The moon's gravitational pull doesn't just move ocean tides, it influences the water in your body, the fluids that make up most of your mass. While the effect is subtle, some researchers believe lunar cycles may influence biofield patterns, creating rhythms that ebb and flow with the moon's phases, connecting you to the same cosmic rhythms that guide the seas. Certain sounds, particularly those with long, sustained tones, like singing bowls, gongs, or human voices in harmonic chant, can create sympathetic vibrations in the body's tissues and fluids. These vibrations interact with the biofield, potentially creating patterns of coherence and harmony, like wind moving across water in organized waves, rather than chaotic ripples. The subtle electrical currents flowing through your body follow pathways of least resistance, creating patterns that some researchers liken to rivers and streams. These currents are densest along the spine, through the core of your torso, branching out to your limbs. The biofield is strongest along these pathways, like light glowing brightest along the current's flow, illuminating the architecture of your body's electrical nature. Gemstones and minerals, each with their unique crystalline structure, have distinct electromagnetic properties. Amethyst responds to energy differently than rose quartz. Jade has different characteristics than obsidian. While the effects may be subtle, too gentle for most to consciously perceive, these stones carry their own signatures, their own ways of interacting with electromagnetic fields, including the field that surrounds you. The human biofield appears to be fractal in nature, meaning its patterns repeat at different scales, like the branching of a tree repeated in the branching of each twig. From the electromagnetic field of a single cell to the field of an entire organ to the field surrounding your whole body, similar patterns emerge, nested within each other like Russian dolls, each level reflecting the others in its fundamental design. During times of illness, the biofield's patterns change before physical symptoms sometimes appear. Some sensitive instruments and skilled practitioners report detecting disruptions in the field that precede the manifestation of disease in the body. The biofield may serve as an early warning system, a subtle indicator of imbalance before it becomes physically apparent. Like clouds gathering before rain, certain types of music, particularly compositions with mathematical precision and harmonic richness, Bach's fugues, Mozart's sonatas, appear to create organizing effects on the biofield. The mathematical relationships between notes, the patterns of rhythm and harmony, may resonate with the body's own electromagnetic rhythms, creating states of coherence, like wind organizing sand into rippled patterns on a beach. The practice of facing east during meditation has ancient roots in many traditions. The Earth's rotation creates a subtle electromagnetic effect, and the relationship between your biofield and the planet's field may vary with the direction you face. While the effect is gentle, imperceptible to ordinary awareness, it may add one more layer to the complex electromagnetic environment that influences your state of being. Your biofield interacts with all electronic devices around you: computers, phones, power lines, household appliances. These create artificial electromagnetic fields that overlap with your natural field. Spending time away from these devices in natural settings, free from artificial electromagnetic noise, may give your biofield a rest, like moving from a noisy city street into a quiet forest where the only sounds are wind and bird song. The phenomenon of people feeling watched, that prickling sensation at the back of your neck when someone stares at you, may have a basis in biofield interaction. While not yet fully explained by science, some researchers theorize that focused attention may create subtle changes in biofield patterns that sensitive nervous systems can detect, like a deer sensing a predator's gaze through means beyond the obvious senses. Breath and biofield are intimately connected. The diaphragm, that dome of muscle beneath your lungs, moves with each breath, creating gentle waves of pressure that spread through your torso. These mechanical waves interact with the electrical systems of your body, influencing heart rate, nervous system activity, and consequently, the patterns of your biofield. Slow, deep breathing creates slow, coherent waves in your energy field. Salt water conducts electricity better than fresh water, which is why the ocean is such a powerful electromagnetic environment. When you swim in the sea, your biofield mingles with this vast conductive medium, potentially creating a kind of energetic cleansing or recalibration. Ancient peoples knew the sea had healing properties. Modern science is beginning to understand the electromagnetic basis for some of these effects. The practice of giving and receiving hugs creates a direct overlap of biofields, a mingling of electromagnetic signatures. When two people embrace, their hearts come close together, their biofields merge, and for a few moments, they exist in a shared electromagnetic space. This may be part of why hugs feel comforting, a physical reminder that you're not separate, not alone, but connected at the energetic level to other living beings. Your biofield is constantly adapting to your environment, to your thoughts, to your physical state. It's not a static thing, but a dynamic, flowing, ever-changing phenomenon, like a river that never enters the same moment twice. Every breath brings a new configuration. Every heartbeat sends fresh waves through the field. Every thought subtly alters its patterns. You are constantly becoming, constantly flowing, constantly new. The hands of a newborn baby radiate a particularly strong biofield from the palms, a phenomenon that decreases somewhat with age. When an infant grasps your finger, you may be feeling not just the physical touch, but also the mingling of biofields, the overlap of energy between the very young and the older, a connection that extends beyond the merely mechanical. Spending time with animals may influence your biofield. Dogs and cats, horses and birds, all have their own electromagnetic signatures, simpler perhaps than human fields, but present and measurable. When a cat purrs beside you or a dog rests their head on your lap, your fields interact, creating a shared electromagnetic space, a subtle communion of energy that may contribute to the calm and comfort animals can bring. The biofield of plants responds to light, to water, to the presence of other living things. Some research suggests that plants can sense the biofields of approaching insects or even the intentions of nearby humans, though these studies remain controversial. What's clear is that plants are far more sensitive to electromagnetic phenomena than their stillness might suggest. Quiet receivers tuned to frequencies we're only beginning to understand. In the moment of death, some researchers report detecting a change in the biofield, a final emanation of energy. While this remains a frontier of science, difficult to study with conventional methods, it echoes ancient traditions that speak of the soul's departure, of a subtle body leaving the physical form. The biofield that had been your constant companion through life undergoes a final transformation, returning to the background field from which it emerged. Your biofield connects you to your ancestors in unexpected ways. The mitochondria in your cells, those tiny power generators, came from your mother, who received them from her mother, in an unbroken line stretching back through time. The electromagnetic patterns they generate carry something of this lineage, this connection to all who came before you, like an invisible thread woven through generations. The biofield seems to extend slightly beyond the physical body, creating what some researchers call a personal space of several inches to a few feet around you. This space feels distinctly different from the general environment. It's yours, permeated with your electromagnetic signature, colored by your state of being. When this space is respected, you feel comfortable. When it's invaded without permission, you feel instinctively uncomfortable, though the intrusion is energetic rather than physical. Certain sacred spaces, ancient temples, stone circles, meditation caves, were built in locations with specific geological and electromagnetic properties. Underground water, mineral deposits, particular rock formations, all contribute to the electromagnetic environment. The builders of these spaces may have been sensitive to how these natural fields interact with the human biofield, choosing locations where the Earth's energy supported states of heightened awareness or deep peace. The biofield appears to change with the seasons. In summer, when days are long and the sun's influence is strong, the field may be more expansive, more outwardly directed. In winter, as darkness grows and nature turns inward, the biofield may become more consolidated, more internally focused, mirroring the seasonal rhythms of the natural world, breathing in and out with the turning of the year. Fasting and dietary changes can influence the biofield. As your body shifts from one metabolic state to another, the electromagnetic patterns of your cells and organs change. Some spiritual traditions use fasting partly for this reason, to create a shift in the biofield, a kind of energetic reset that accompanies the physical changes, like clearing fog to reveal the landscape beneath. The practice of mindfulness, paying attention to present moment experience without judgment, appears to create coherent patterns in the biofield. When attention is scattered, thinking about past and future, the biofield's patterns may be more chaotic. When attention gathers in the present, the field becomes more organized, more harmonious, like a symphony orchestra that has been tuning randomly, suddenly beginning to play together in unison. Colors, those frequencies of visible light, interact with your biofield in specific ways. Red light has a longer wavelength and lower frequency, while blue light has shorter wavelengths and higher frequency. These different frequencies may resonate with different aspects of your biofield, which might be why certain colors feel energizing while others feel calming, beyond any psychological associations you might have with them. The biofield of a forest is more than the sum of individual tree fields. The trees are connected underground through fungal networks that share nutrients and information. And above ground, their biofields may create a collective electromagnetic environment, a forest field that's richer and more complex than any single tree. Walking in such a forest, you're immersed in this collective energy, held within it like a child in the arms of something vast and ancient. Your gut bacteria, trillions of microorganisms living in your intestines, have their own metabolism, their own electrical activity. While tiny individually, their collective electromagnetic presence may contribute to your overall biofield, adding another layer to the already complex tapestry of energy that surrounds you. You're not one being, but many, a walking ecosystem, and your biofield reflects this multiplicity. The biofield may serve as a kind of memory storage, though this remains speculative. Some researchers theorize that the electromagnetic patterns in your field might hold traces of past experiences, particularly emotionally significant ones. This could explain phenomena like muscle memory, or the way certain places or situations trigger strong emotional responses. The biofield recognizing and responding to familiar patterns from the past. Silence has its own quality of influence on the biofield. In the absence of sound, when your ears are not processing constant auditory input, your nervous system shifts into a different state, and your biofield responds accordingly. This is why silence feels restorative. It's not just the absence of noise, but a particular state of electromagnetic coherence that emerges when sound falls away, like still water after waves have ceased. The phenomenon of gut feelings or intuition may be partly related to the biofield. Your gut contains as many neurons as the brain of a cat, and this second brain generates its own electromagnetic patterns that influence your overall field. Sometimes information seems to arrive through feeling rather than thinking, as if the biofield is picking up subtle cues from the environment that don't reach conscious awareness. Artistic creation, painting, music, writing, dance, appears to create distinctive patterns in the biofield. The focused attention, the emotional engagement, the flow state that artists describe, all correlate with specific electromagnetic signatures. When you create, you're not just making something external, you're also creating patterns of energy in and around your body, sculpting your biofield through the act of artistic expression. Prayer and meditation practices across different traditions often involve similar body postures, sitting with spine straight, hands in specific positions, eyes closed or softly focused. These postures may help organize the biofield in ways that support deeper states of consciousness. The body becomes like an antenna, positioned to best receive and transmit particular frequencies of electromagnetic energy. The biofield of each person is unique, like a fingerprint or a voice. While general patterns are similar across humans, the specific configuration of your field, the precise rhythms, the particular harmonics, the individual signature, belongs to you alone. If biofields could be heard as music, each person would sing their own song, similar to other human songs, but distinct, unrepeatable, uniquely yours. Your relationship with the biofield changes through life. An infant's field is closely connected to the mother's, almost merged in the early months. Through childhood and adolescence, the field develops its own character, becoming more distinct. In adulthood, it reaches a kind of mature stability. In old age, as the body slows, the biofield may become softer, more transparent, gradually preparing for its eventual dissolution back into the larger electromagnetic sea from which all fields arise. The resonance between your biofield and the natural world may be one reason why nature feels restorative. When you're surrounded by concrete and electronics, artificial lights and conditioned air, your field exists in an environment dominated by human-made electromagnetic patterns. Step into a forest or onto a beach, and suddenly your field is surrounded by natural electromagnetic rhythms, the patterns of trees and waves, earth and sky, and something in you recognizes these rhythms and responds with a deep sense of homecoming. Touch is a transfer of energy in the most direct sense. When skin meets skin, biofields overlap completely at that point of contact. The electromagnetic fields of both people interact, creating a shared zone of energy that belongs to neither one alone, but to both together. This is why touch can feel so intimate, so powerful. It's not just a mechanical contact, but an electromagnetic communion, a momentary merging at the level of energy itself. The biofield may be influenced by the foods you eat. Plants grown in rich soil under sunlight carry their own electromagnetic signature, different from plants grown in depleted soil or artificial conditions. When you eat, you're not just taking in nutrients, but also absorbing something of the electromagnetic quality of the food itself, incorporating its patterns into your own field, becoming, in a very literal sense, what you eat. The human voice, when used in sustained tones, as in chanting, toning, or singing meditation, creates vibrations that spread throughout the body. These sound waves interact with the biofield, potentially creating harmonizing effects. The bones of your skull act as resonance chambers, and when sound moves through them, the resulting vibrations influence the electromagnetic patterns in your brain and throughout your field, like ripples spreading from a stone dropped in still water. In the stillness of early morning, before the day's activities begin and the electromagnetic noise of civilization awakens, your biofield may be in its most natural state. This is when the Earth's magnetic field is quietest, when the air is still and full of negative ions from the night. Morning meditation, or simply sitting quietly at dawn, may allow you to perceive your biofield more clearly, like seeing stars that only appear when city lights dim. The skin is not just a barrier, but an interface covered with millions of receptors that sense temperature, pressure, pain, and pleasure. These receptors generate electrical signals, and the density of these signals at your body's surface contributes to the biofield's outer boundary. Your skin is alive with electricity, constantly processing touch and temperature, creating a living envelope of electromagnetic activity where your inner world meets the outer. The relationship between mother and infant extends to the biofield level. Studies measuring the electromagnetic fields of mothers and their babies show that these fields influence each other. creating patterns of synchrony. When a mother holds her infant against her chest, their hearts beat within inches of each other, their electromagnetic fields overlapping, creating a shared rhythm that may help regulate the infant's developing systems. Fireflies generate light through bioluminescence, a chemical reaction in their bodies. Like these small creatures, you also generate light, though at much lower intensity. The biophotons emitted by your cells create a subtle glow invisible to the naked eye but detectable with sensitive instruments. You are, in this most literal sense, a being of light, radiating photons into the darkness like a star, too dim to see but nonetheless present, nonetheless glowing. The phenomenon of feeling drained after spending time with certain people may have a biofield component. Some individuals, especially when stressed or emotionally dysregulated, may have biofield patterns that are chaotic or depleted. When your field overlaps with theirs, the interaction may affect your own field's coherence, like a tuning fork being disturbed by conflicting vibrations. Setting boundaries in this light becomes not just a psychological practice, but an energetic one. Ancient practices like acupuncture involve inserting very fine needles at specific points on the body. Modern research shows that these acupuncture points often correspond to areas of lower electrical resistance in the skin, places where the biofield may be more accessible or concentrated. The needles may influence the flow of electromagnetic energy through the body, creating changes that ripple through the entire field, supporting healing and balance. The biofield around your head, where thought and consciousness are centered, shows different patterns depending on what you're doing. When solving a math problem, certain areas activate. When listening to music, others. When you're in a state of open awareness, thinking of nothing in particular, the field around your head shows a different pattern altogether. More diffuse, more evenly distributed, like a clear sky after clouds have passed. Water has memory, in a sense. Its structure can be influenced by electromagnetic fields, by sound, by the substances dissolved in it. The water in your body, making up most of your mass, carries the influence of your biofield, organized by it, shaped by it. When you're in a coherent state, your body's water may take on more organized structures. When chaotic, the water's structure may be more random. You're not just a body of water, but water that remembers, that holds pattern, that flows with intelligence. The practice of yoga, with its emphasis on specific postures and breathing patterns, may work partly through effects on the biofield. Each asana creates a particular configuration of the body, which in turn creates specific patterns in the electromagnetic field. Combined with controlled breathing and focused attention, yoga becomes a practice of consciously sculpting your biofield, creating coherence and flow where there might have been stagnation or chaos. The eyes are often called windows to the soul, and in biofield terms, they're points where electromagnetic energy is particularly concentrated. The optic nerves carry massive amounts of information from the retina to the brain, creating strong electrical currents. When you make eye contact with someone, your gaze carries not just visual information, but electromagnetic energy, a subtle connection that may be part of why eye contact feels so intimate, so immediate. Certain crystals, particularly quartz, can store and transmit electromagnetic energy. This is why they're used in watches and electronics. While the effects may be subtle, having quartz crystals near your body may create a kind of resonance with your biofield, similar to how a tuning fork can cause another tuning fork at the same frequency to vibrate sympathetically. The ancient practice of wearing crystals as jewelry may have intuitive wisdom in choosing certain stones for their electromagnetic properties. The biofield doesn't exist in isolation, but is part of a vast web of electromagnetic energy that extends from the subatomic to the cosmic scale. From the spin of electrons in your atoms to the magnetic field of Earth, to the electromagnetic radiation from distant stars, it's all one continuous spectrum of energy. Your biofield is a localized intensification of this universal field, a temporary organization of energy that creates the experience you call self, while remaining always part of the larger whole. Music and rhythm have been used for healing and ceremony across all human cultures. The electromagnetic effects of sound on the biofield may be one reason why. Different rhythms, fast or slow, simple or complex, create different patterns of stimulation in your nervous system, which in turn affects your biofield. A drum beat can entrain your heart rate. A melody can create coherent patterns in your brain waves. Sound becomes a tool for consciously shaping your electromagnetic state, the spaces between your thoughts, those moments of mental quiet that arise naturally throughout the day, are moments when your biofield may shift toward more coherent patterns. The constant activity of thinking creates constant fluctuations in the electromagnetic patterns of your brain. When thinking pauses, even briefly, the field can settle, like water becoming still when wind dies down, revealing its own natural clarity. Laughter and crying both involve dramatic changes in breathing, heart rate, and overall nervous system activity, all of which affect the biofield. These expressions of emotion are not just psychological, but energetic events, creating waves through your electromagnetic field that can be quite powerful. This may be why both laughing and crying can feel cathartic, cleansing. They're creating movement and release at the level of energy, not just emotion. The biofield of a group, people gathered together with shared intention, may be more than the sum of individual fields. Studies of group meditation or collective prayer suggest that when many people are in similar states of consciousness, their biofields may begin to interact and synchronize, creating a collective field that influences all participants. The whole becomes greater than its parts, a resonant space of shared electromagnetic harmony. Walking meditation, practiced in many contemplative traditions, combines movement with mindful awareness. The rhythmic motion of walking creates patterns in the biofield different from sitting still, while the focused attention creates coherence. With each step, the biofield pulses and flows in time with your movement, your breathing, your heartbeat, creating a moving meditation in which your energy field becomes a kind of prayer in motion. The biofield changes through the day in subtle rhythms. In the early morning, it may be quiet, reflective of sleep's restorative state. Through the day, as you engage with the world, it becomes more active, more complex. In evening, as light fades and the body prepares for rest, the field begins to quiet again, like birds settling into trees as dusk descends, preparing for the still darkness of night. The practice of blessing food before eating exists in many traditions. Beyond the psychological or spiritual significance, this moment of pause and intention may influence the biofield, creating a coherent state before the act of eating. As you take food into your body, you do so from a state of electromagnetic coherence, rather than scattered distraction, which may affect how your body receives and processes what you eat. Starlight, arriving from distances so vast that the stars themselves may have ceased to exist by the time their light reaches your eyes, is electromagnetic radiation that has traveled for years or centuries to touch you when you stand beneath a clear night sky. These ancient photons interact with your biofield, connecting you across impossible distances to the nuclear furnaces of distant suns. You are touched by the light of stars. The biofield may extend into the space you inhabit regularly, your home, your workspace, creating what some traditions call a spirit of place. Your electromagnetic signature, repeated day after day in the same location, may leave subtle traces, patterns that persist even when you're not physically present, like the scent of flowers that lingers in a room after the bouquet has been removed, faint but unmistakable. The heart's electromagnetic field doesn't pulse evenly, but varies with each beat, a phenomenon called heart rate variability. Higher variability, paradoxically, indicates better health and resilience. Your heart is constantly adjusting, responding to each moment with flexibility. And this flexibility creates a biofield that is alive, adaptable, responsive, rather than rigid or mechanical, like a tree that bends with the wind rather than breaking against it. Children, especially young children, may be more sensitive to biofields than adults. Before learning to filter and categorize their perceptions, children might directly perceive the energy of people and places, responding to the electromagnetic presence of others with an intuitive awareness that many adults have learned to ignore or dismiss. Watch a young child react to a stranger, and you might be seeing an unfiltered biofield response. The Earth's magnetic field protects all life from harmful cosmic radiation, creating a vast protective bubble around the planet. Your biofield exists within this larger field, nested inside it like a small light inside a great lantern. On the International Space Station, astronauts exist beyond Earth's full electromagnetic protection, and some report changes in perception, dreams, and consciousness, perhaps because their biofields are no longer held within the planet's familiar electromagnetic embrace. Fermented foods, yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, contain living bacteria that produce their own microscopic electromagnetic activity. When you consume these foods, you're bringing these living fields into your body, where they join the ecosystem of your gut bacteria, adding their tiny voices to the electromagnetic chorus that is your digestive system, your second brain, your gut's complex and living field. The practice of Tai Chi, with its slow flowing movements and emphasis on energy flow, may be a method of consciously moving and organizing the biofield. Each gesture, each shift of weight, creates patterns in the electromagnetic field around and through your body. Practiced over years, Tai Chi becomes a sophisticated way of sensing and directing your own energy, making the invisible visible through movement and attention. Your biofield carries information about your state of health. Some medical devices like EKG machines and EEG monitors measure electromagnetic activity to assess heart and brain function. Emerging technologies are exploring whether other aspects of the biofield might reveal early signs of disease or imbalance, potentially creating diagnostic tools based on reading the body's electromagnetic signature before symptoms appear at the physical level. The phenomenon of phantom limb sensations, when someone feels an arm or leg that's been amputated may be partly related to the biofield. Even after the physical limb is gone, the biofield pattern that surrounded it may persist, creating sensations that feel completely real. The biofield, in this sense, may be more than just a reflection of the physical body, but a kind of energetic template that can outlast the physical structure it once surrounded. Seasonal affective disorder, the depression that some people experience during winter months, may have a biofield component. The reduced sunlight affects not just vitamin D production and circadian rhythms, but also the electromagnetic environment. Less natural light means less electromagnetic interaction between your biofield and solar radiation, potentially affecting the field's patterns and, through them, your mood and energy levels. The practice of smudging, burning sage or other herbs to cleanse a space is found in many cultures. While the psychological and ritual significance is clear, there may also be an electromagnetic component. Burning plant matter releases ions and subtle electromagnetic effects, potentially influencing the electromagnetic environment of a room and, by extension, the biofields of people within that space, like opening windows to clear stagnant air. Your biofield changes when you enter water. The high conductivity of water, especially salt water, creates a different electromagnetic environment around your body. Swimming or bathing isn't just mechanical cleansing, but a kind of energetic reset as your field interacts with the water's conductive presence, dispersing patterns that may have become stagnant, allowing new configurations to emerge. The practice of fasting from electronics, digital detox as it's sometimes called, may benefit the biofield by reducing exposure to artificial electromagnetic fields. The constant presence of Wi-Fi signals, cell phone radiation, and electromagnetic fields from appliances creates a kind of background noise that your biofield must constantly navigate. Time away from these allows your field to exist in a more natural electromagnetic environment, like giving your ears a rest from noise. Ancient standing stones, megaliths like those at Stonehenge or Karnak, were often placed along fault lines or above underground water, locations with specific electromagnetic properties. The stones themselves, depending on their mineral composition, may interact with these natural fields. When you stand among such stones, your biofield enters this complex electromagnetic environment, shaped by geology, by intention, by the accumulated presence of countless others who stood there before you. The biofield may respond to phases of the moon, not just through gravitational effects on body fluids, but through electromagnetic influence. The moon reflects sunlight, and this reflected light carries electromagnetic energy that, while subtle, reaches Earth and interacts with all living things. Full moonlight has a different quality than new moon darkness, and your biofield may register these changes in ways too subtle for conscious perception, but nonetheless real. Prayer beads, rosaries, malas, these tools for meditation and prayer involve repetitive touch, moving your fingers from one bead to the next while maintaining focus. This practice may create coherent patterns in the biofield through the combination of tactile stimulation, repetitive movement, and concentrated attention. The electromagnetic field of your hand moves along this circle of beads, creating a kind of energetic loop that supports meditative states. The biofield of the dying, as life gradually ebbs, shows a slow diminishment, like a fire gradually burning down to embers. For those keeping vigil beside someone in their final hours, there may be moments of sensing this change, feeling the field grow quieter, more transparent, as the person prepares to release their hold on the electromagnetic patterns that have sustained their individual existence. It's a sacred passage, observable not just physically, but energetically, as a unique biofield prepares to return to the infinite field from which it arose. The practice of pilgrimage, journeying to sacred sites, takes you through changing electromagnetic environments. Each landscape has its own magnetic and electrical properties determined by geology, altitude, vegetation, water. As you move through these varied environments on a long walk, your biofield encounters different electromagnetic conditions. A journey for your energy body as well as your physical form. Each step, a new interaction between your field and Earth's varied electromagnetic topography. Caves, deep in the Earth, provide unusual electromagnetic environments, shielded from the sun's radiation, insulated by rock from many surface electromagnetic influences. Caves create spaces of electromagnetic quiet. Ancient peoples used caves for ceremony and vision quests, perhaps sensing intuitively that these places offer a different quality of electromagnetic experience, where the biofield can exist in conditions quite different from the ordinary surface world. The biofield seems to respond to coherent electromagnetic sources. A candle flame, for instance, produces light through the electromagnetic process of combustion, releasing photons in a warm, flickering pattern quite different from the constant glow of electric bulbs. Candlelight may interact with the biofield in a way that feels soothing, comfortable, because the quality of electromagnetic energy it produces resonates with something in your own field, like recognizing a familiar voice in a crowd of strangers. Snow changes the electromagnetic environment. It insulates the ground, muffles sound, reflects light differently. A landscape covered in snow has different electromagnetic properties than that same landscape in summer. Walking through fresh snow, your biofield moves through this altered environment, and many people report a particular quality of peace in snowy landscapes, perhaps partly due to these electromagnetic changes, the way snow creates a kind of energetic quiet that complements its acoustic silence. The biofield of communities may explain some aspects of collective behavior. When many people live in close proximity, their biofields constantly interact. In a community with high coherence, shared values, mutual support, healthy relationships, the overlapping biofields may create a collective field that supports well-being. In communities with conflict and disconnection, the biofield interactions may be chaotic, contributing to the stress that members feel beyond the obvious social factors. Mountaintops offer unique electromagnetic environments. Higher altitude means stronger exposure to cosmic radiation, thinner atmosphere, often different mineral compositions in the rocks. Holy mountains exist in many traditions: Sinai, Olympus, Kailash, Fuji, places where people go to encounter the sacred. The electromagnetic conditions at altitude may contribute to the experiences people have in these high places, where the biofield exists in conditions quite different from the lowlands, closer to the electromagnetic realm of the upper atmosphere. The biofield may be influenced by sound too low or too high for human ears to detect. Infrasound, below the range of hearing, and ultrasound, above it, can still affect the body's tissues and fluids, creating vibrations that influence the electromagnetic systems of cells and organs. The environment is filled with sounds you cannot consciously hear, but that your biofield nonetheless encounters, like a ship moving through currents invisible to those aboard. Certain fabrics conduct electricity differently than others. Natural fibers like cotton, linen, silk, and wool have different electromagnetic properties than synthetic materials. The clothes you wear create a kind of electromagnetic microenvironment around your body, slightly influencing your biofield. This may be part of why natural fibers often feel more comfortable. They interact with your biofield in ways that synthetic materials cannot quite replicate. The biofield around your hands changes when you engage in skilled work, playing an instrument, painting, writing, working with tools. The focused attention and fine motor control create specific patterns of electromagnetic activity in the parts of your brain that control your hands. And these patterns extend into the biofield around your hands themselves. Your hands become more energetically active, more alive, when engaged in skilled, attentive work. Storms dramatically change the electromagnetic environment. Lightning is a massive discharge of electricity, creating electromagnetic pulses that can be detected hundreds of miles away. The ionization of the atmosphere, the movement of charged air masses, all create an electrically active environment. During storms, your biofield exists within this heightened electromagnetic activity, which may contribute to the awe and sometimes anxiety that storms can evoke, as your field responds to nature's electrical drama. The biofield may be more permeable in certain states of consciousness. During deep sleep, particularly REM sleep, when dreaming is most vivid, the biofield's patterns change significantly. Some traditions suggest that in sleep, the energy body is more fluid, less bound to the physical form, which might be experienced as dreams of flying or of being in impossible places. The biofield in sleep takes on configurations impossible in waking life, freed temporarily from the constraints of consciousness. Gardens and cultivated spaces have biofields that reflect the care and attention given to them. A garden tended with love, where plants are healthy and soil is rich, creates a complex electromagnetic environment. The overlapping fields of many plants, the electromagnetic activity of soil organisms, the structured energy of design and intention. Walking into such a garden, your biofield enters this carefully created energetic space, which may be part of why gardens feel so restorative. The biofield may respond to prayer or meditation even when these practices are directed toward the person from a distance. Some studies on intercessory prayer, while controversial, suggest effects that can't be explained by the recipient's knowledge or belief. If biofields can interact non-locally across distance, this might provide a mechanism for such effects, though the science remains speculative, touching the edges of what current instruments can measure and minds can explain. Your biofield at birth is closely merged with your mother's, almost inseparable in the first weeks of life. Gradually, as you develop, the field develops its own distinct character, though the influence of early bonding remains. The biofield you carry as an adult still contains traces of those first intimate electromagnetic connections, layers of early experience written into the patterns of your energy body, invisible but influential, like the first rings laid down in a tree's core. The practice of Sabbath or sacred rest, taking time away from work and productivity, allows the biofield to shift from active, outward-directed patterns to more receptive, internally focused states. Rest is not just physical, but energetic. In rest, your biofield can release patterns accumulated through active engagement with the world, like a field left fallow to restore its fertility, gathering energy for the next cycle of growth and expression. Certain types of movement, ecstatic dance, whirling, rhythmic swaying, can create altered states of consciousness that correlate with specific biofield patterns. The repetitive motion, often combined with music, creates a kind of trance state where the biofield's patterns become more unified, more coherent in unusual ways. This is why such practices are found in spiritual traditions worldwide. They're technologies for shifting both consciousness and energetic state through movement. The biofield extends into the past and future in a sense. The patterns in your field today were influenced by yesterday's experiences, by patterns built up over years. And the field you're creating now will influence tomorrow's field, next week's, next year's. You are constantly inheriting your own energetic patterns from your past self and bequeathing patterns to your future self, a continuous flow through time, each moment both receiving and giving the field's ever-changing configuration. The biofield seems to have different layers or frequencies, from the densest electromagnetic activity close to the body to more subtle patterns extending farther out. Some traditions describe these as different bodies: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And while the terminology is symbolic, it may point to something real. The biofield is not uniform, but structured, with different frequencies or qualities at different distances from the physical body, like layers in the atmosphere, each with its own character and function. Volcanoes, those places where Earth's molten interior breaks through the surface, create intense electromagnetic environments. The heat, the minerals, the tectonic forces all contribute to powerful magnetic and electrical fields. Ancient peoples often considered volcanoes sacred, dangerous places of power. Standing near an active volcano, your biofield exists within Earth's most dramatic electromagnetic expressions. A reminder that you are not separate from the planet, but intimately connected to its energetic body. The biofield of a healer or caregiver may influence those they tend. Studies of therapeutic touch, Reiki, and similar practices show measurable changes in recipients' physiology: reduced pain, faster healing, decreased stress markers. The mechanisms aren't fully understood, but biofield interaction seems to be involved. The coherent field of the practitioner may help organize the field of the person receiving care, like a tuning fork, bringing another fork into resonance, supporting the body's own healing capacities. Labyrinths, those ancient walking meditation paths found in many cultures, may be designed partly with biofield effects in mind. The curved path brings you back and forth across the same space, creating a complex pattern of electromagnetic interaction as your biofield moves through its own previous traces. The center of the labyrinth, reached after this intricate journey, becomes a place where many overlapping patterns converge, potentially creating a unique energetic experience. The biofield responds to altitude. At sea level, you're supported by a full atmosphere of air pressure. At high altitude, the pressure is less, the air thinner, the electromagnetic environment different. Mountain climbers sometimes report unusual mental states, visions, or insights at extreme altitude. While lack of oxygen plays a role, the biofield's response to these unusual electromagnetic conditions may also contribute to such experiences, consciousness shifting as the energetic environment shifts. Honeybees, navigate using the sun, but also using Earth's magnetic field. They're sensitive to electromagnetic phenomena in ways that guide their flight and help them find home. When you eat honey, you're consuming something created by creatures that live within electromagnetic awareness, that build their entire civilization, their hives, their dances, their navigation, with constant reference to fields invisible to human eyes, but integral to their world. The biofield may explain some aspects of spontaneous healing. In rare cases, illnesses disappear without medical intervention, tumors shrink, chronic conditions resolve. While many factors may be involved, dramatic shifts in the biofield, perhaps triggered by emotional breakthrough, spiritual experience, or other catalysts, could potentially influence physical healing at the cellular level. As the electromagnetic patterns shift and the body reorganizes itself along new energetic lines. Musical instruments, especially acoustic ones, create sound through vibration of physical materials, strings, air columns, skins, metal. When you play such an instrument, your biofield interacts with the vibrating object, and the sound produced carries something of this interaction. This may be why hearing live music feels different from recorded music. The biofield of the musician is actively shaping the vibrations you hear, creating a living electromagnetic event rather than a reproduction. The biofield of a place can accumulate over time. Homes where people have lived peacefully for generations may carry this accumulated coherence, a quality of settled calm in the electromagnetic environment. Places where violence or suffering occurred may carry more chaotic patterns. While these effects are subtle, many people report sensing the feeling of a place immediately upon entering, perhaps reading its biofield history through the interaction with their own field. Breathwork practices, pranayama, holotropic breathing, various shamanic breathing techniques can create powerful shifts in consciousness and physiology. These practices work partly through changing blood chemistry, but they also affect the biofield. Rapid breathing, slow breathing, breath retention, each creates different patterns of electromagnetic activity in the brain and throughout the body, allowing conscious control of normally automatic biofield patterns through the simple act of breathing with awareness and intention. The biofield at the moment of conception, when sperm meets egg, is the beginning of your individual field, though it exists within the mother's field and carries patterns from both parents. This initial field will grow and develop, becoming more complex as cells divide and organize into tissues and organs. But something of that first spark remains, the original pattern around which everything else organized, a tiny seed of electromagnetic identity that will become, in time, the full field of an adult human being. Auroras, the northern and southern lights, occur when charged particles from the sun interact with Earth's magnetic field, creating luminous displays in the upper atmosphere. These are electromagnetic phenomena on a massive scale, painting the sky with visible energy. Standing beneath an aurora, your biofield exists within this dramatic interaction between solar wind and planetary magnetism, a rare opportunity to witness electromagnetic forces that are usually invisible, made suddenly, stunningly visible. The biofield seems to extend slightly into the quantum realm. At the level of atoms and molecules, quantum effects, uncertainty, superposition, entanglement begin to appear. Some researchers speculate that the biofield may be influenced by quantum phenomena, that consciousness itself may have quantum properties. While this remains at the frontier of science, it suggests that your biofield may be even more subtle, more mysterious than current instruments can measure, reaching down into the strange territory where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously. The practice of offering gratitude, whether before meals, at day's end, or in moments of appreciation, creates coherent patterns in the heart's electromagnetic field. Studies show that genuine gratitude produces smooth, harmonious heart rhythms and coherent biofield patterns. Gratitude is not just an emotion or mental state, but an energetic condition, a way of organizing your biofield that may have effects far beyond the immediate psychological benefits, rippling out into your physical health and into the energetic environment you create around yourself. The biofield in childhood is more plastic, more easily influenced and shaped than in adulthood. The electromagnetic patterns you develop in early years, influenced by family, environment, experiences, create templates that tend to persist through life. This is why early trauma can have such lasting effects and why early positive experiences are so valuable. The biofield being formed in childhood is like wet clay, taking impressions easily, which then harden into the relatively fixed patterns of adult life. Deserts create unique electromagnetic environments. The dry air, the mineral-rich ground, the intensity of sunlight reflected from sand or rock, all contribute to a particular electromagnetic quality. Desert traditions, from the Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime to the Desert Fathers of Christianity, have used these landscapes for spiritual practice. The biofield in the desert exists in conditions of clarity, intensity, and starkness that can strip away the usual patterns, revealing something more essential beneath. The biofield may be entangled with the biofields of those you love. Quantum entanglement suggests that particles once connected remain influenced by each other across any distance. While applying quantum principles to macroscopic biofields is speculative, it offers a tantalizing possibility that intimacy creates lasting biofield connections. That distance may not fully separate those whose fields have deeply intermingled. That love may have an electromagnetic dimension that transcends space, connecting across separation through invisible threads of quantum correlation. The biofield responds to the horizon, standing where you can see the meeting of earth and sky, where your gaze can extend unobstructed into distance. The biofield may expand, becoming more spacious, less contracted. This is why open vistas, prairie, ocean, desert, can feel liberating. Your biofield, which normally exists within the confined electromagnetic environments of buildings and cities, suddenly has room to extend, to breathe, like lungs filling after being compressed. Rain changes the electromagnetic environment dramatically. Water droplets falling through air create friction that separates electrical charges, which is why thunderstorms are electrically active. Even gentle rain alters the ionization of the air, the conductivity of the ground, the quality of light. Walking in rain, your biofield exists in this electrically alive environment, interacting with water that carries electrical charge, connecting you more directly to the electromagnetic dynamics of weather itself. The biofield seems to be influenced by artistic intention. When you view a painting, especially one created with deep attention and care, your biofield may respond to the electromagnetic patterns embedded in the paint by the artist's focused consciousness. While this sounds mystical, it suggests that art is not just visual information, but carries energetic information. The state of being of the artist at creation, captured in subtle electromagnetic patterns that sensitive viewers might unconsciously perceive. Ferns, among the oldest plants on Earth, have been generating biofields for hundreds of millions of years. Their fractal patterns, the same shape repeated at different scales, may create particularly organized electromagnetic fields. Sitting among ferns in a forest, your biofield encounters these ancient patterns, these electromagnetic architectures that were already old when dinosaurs walked the earth, connecting you to deep time through the medium of living energy fields. The biofield at the ocean's edge exists in a rich electromagnetic environment. Salt water is highly conductive. The boundary between land and sea creates electrical potentials. The movement of waves generates subtle electromagnetic effects. The negative ions are abundant. The edge between elements, where water meets earth, where one realm touches another, creates complex electromagnetic conditions that make shorelines powerful places for the biofield, places of energetic richness and complexity. Ritual and ceremony, found in all human cultures, often involve specific actions, words, and objects arranged in particular ways. These patterns may help organize the biofield of participants. The electromagnetic effects of candles, incense, sound, movement, and focused group attention may combine to create a distinctive energetic environment. Ritual becomes a technology for shaping collective and individual biofields, creating states of consciousness and energy that support transformation, healing, or connection to the sacred. The biofield of those who practice meditation or contemplative prayer over many years may develop different baseline patterns than those of people who don't engage in such practices. Long-term meditators show distinctive brainwave patterns even when not meditating, suggesting that consistent practice creates lasting changes in the biofield. The field becomes, in a sense, trained, developing capacities for coherence and stillness that become increasingly accessible, like a path through the forest that becomes clearer and easier to follow with repeated use. Your shadow, that dark shape cast when your body blocks light, is a kind of negative space, the absence of photons. But from a biofield perspective, your shadow may not be quite empty. The electromagnetic field extends slightly beyond your body, and sensitive instruments might detect subtle effects even in the shadowed space. You're more than your shadow, more than the silhouette your body casts. You're the living light around it, the invisible glow that extends past every edge and boundary. The biofield seems to be sensitive to the time of day. Circadian rhythms, the body's 24-hour cycles, are partly controlled by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain, which responds to light. But these rhythms also correlate with predictable changes in the biofield. Morning fields differ from afternoon fields, differ from evening fields, creating a daily dance of electromagnetic patterns that mirrors the rotation of Earth and your relationship to the sun's position in the sky. Ancient forests, old-growth woodlands that have never been cut, have biofield environments built up over centuries. The electromagnetic signatures of countless trees, the dense network of root and fungal connections, the accumulated presence of the forest ecosystem, all create a biofield of remarkable complexity and depth. In such forests, your biofield enters a space that has been energetically cultivated by natural processes for longer than human civilization. A deep electromagnetic presence that many people find profoundly calming or awe-inspiring. The biofield may be affected by your relationship with time. When you're rushed, stressed, pressed by deadlines, the field's patterns become more chaotic, more scattered. When you're present, relaxed, not hurrying through the moment to reach the next, the field becomes more coherent. Time pressure is not just psychological, it creates a specific energetic state, a biofield configuration that reinforces the sense of stress and disconnection from the present moment, while timeless presence creates coherence and calm. Chromosomes in each cell of your body carry DNA that has been passed down through countless generations, a genetic river flowing through time. The electromagnetic activity of DNA, yes, the double helix generates its own subtle field, connects you to your ancestors. The biofield you carry today has components that echo the biofields of those who lived centuries ago, a kind of electromagnetic memory that transcends individual lives, linking you to the long chain of existence from which you emerged. The biofield in moments of crisis or danger shifts dramatically. The sympathetic nervous system activates, heart rate increases, blood pressure rises, and the electromagnetic patterns change to support fight or flight. But interestingly, some people in extreme danger report a strange calm, time seeming to slow, enhanced perception, perhaps a different kind of biofield state, an unusual coherence that emerges when ordinary fear gives way to extraordinary presence, when the body's energetic response to threat takes forms beyond the usual patterns. Moonlight, though it's just reflected sunlight, has a different quality, softer, cooler, filtered through the moon's pale surface. Walking in moonlight, your biofield bathes in this reflected electromagnetic energy, something gentler than direct sunlight, something that has bounced off another world before reaching you. The moon has no light of its own, yet it illuminates the night, and your biofield knows the difference between this borrowed light and the sun's direct blaze. The biofield may be influenced by color in direct physiological ways, different wavelengths of light, what you perceive as different colors, have different energies, different frequencies. Red light has lower frequency than blue light. When these photons interact with your eyes, your skin, your biofield, they bring their specific energetic qualities. Color is not just visual information, but energetic information, different frequencies of electromagnetic radiation that your body and field respond to in measurably different ways. Weeping, the flow of tears, involves complex physiological changes, shifts in breathing, alterations in heart rate, the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. All of these affect the biofield. Tears themselves contain different chemical compositions depending on whether they're tears of grief, joy, or irritation, suggesting that emotional states encoded in the biofield can manifest physically in the very composition of the fluids your body produces. The biofield at the cellular level is unimaginably complex. Each of your trillions of cells maintains an electrical potential across its membrane, generates its own tiny electromagnetic field, produces biophotons. The combined effect of all these cellular fields creates the larger biofield around your body, but it's worth remembering that you're not one field, but an inconceivable number of tiny fields working in cooperation. A vast democracy of electromagnetic activity that somehow organizes itself into the coherent whole you experience as yourself. The practice of barefoot walking on varied natural surfaces, grass, sand, stone, earth, provides constantly changing electromagnetic input. Different materials have different electrical properties, different textures, different temperatures. As you walk barefoot, the soles of your feet, dense with nerve endings and acupuncture points, encounter this varied terrain, and the biofield responds to each change, each new contact, creating a kind of energetic massage, a dialogue between your field and Earth's diverse electromagnetic textures. The biofield seems to be more coherent in natural darkness than in artificial light. Human eyes have adapted over millions of years to natural light rhythms, sunrise and sunset, moonlight and starlight, the warm glow of fire. Artificial lighting, especially the blue-rich light of screens and LEDs, may disrupt natural biofield patterns. Time spent in natural darkness or in the soft light of candles or firelight may allow your biofield to find rhythms more aligned with evolutionary patterns, more in harmony with how human fields developed over deep time. Scent affects the biofield through the olfactory system, which connects directly to the brain's emotional centers. When you smell lavender, rose, pine, or sage, molecules from these plants enter your nose and bind to receptors that generate electrical signals. These signals influence your emotional state, your nervous system activity, and thereby your biofield. Aromatherapy may work partly through these electromagnetic effects, using plant-derived molecules to influence your body's energetic patterns. The biofield of someone dying and someone being born might have unexpected similarities. Both are threshold states, boundaries between existence and non-existence. Birth brings a biofield into individualized expression, emerging from merger with the mother's field into separate presence. Death releases a biofield from individual form, dissolving back into the larger electromagnetic sea. The beginning and the ending, from an energetic perspective, may be mirrors of each other, alpha and omega meeting in the circle of electromagnetic existence. Certain geometries, the spiral, the sphere, the torus, appear repeatedly in biofield patterns and in nature. The heart's electromagnetic field forms a torus, a donut shape that extends around and through the body. This same shape appears in magnetic fields, in water vortices, in galaxies. There seems to be something fundamental about this geometry, a pattern that electromagnetic energy naturally takes, appearing at every scale from subatomic to cosmic, with your biofield participating in this universal tendency toward particular forms. The biofield in states of flow, when you're completely absorbed in an activity, time seems to disappear and action feels effortless, shows distinctive patterns. Brainwave coherence increases, the heart's rhythm becomes more ordered, and the overall field seems to integrate more fully, different aspects working in unusual harmony. Flow states are not just psychological, but deeply energetic. Moments when your biofield organizes itself in particularly coherent and efficient ways. Lightning scars, those distinctive patterns sometimes left on the skin of lightning strike survivors, follow the nervous system's pathways. They're called Lichtenberg figures, and they map the route the massive electrical current took through the body. They're visible proof of the connection between electromagnetic energy and the physical form. External electricity revealing the internal electrical architecture of the body, making visible for a brief time the pathways that normally carry only the body's own subtle biofield currents. The biofield may explain some aspects of presence, that quality some people have that makes them seem larger than life, magnetic, commanding attention. If their biofield is particularly strong or coherent, others may unconsciously respond to this energetic presence before any words are spoken or actions taken. Charisma, in this light, becomes partly an electromagnetic phenomenon, a biofield so vibrant or organized that others' fields respond to it, drawn like iron filings to a magnet. Libraries and places where books are kept may develop their own biofield over time. While books themselves are just paper and ink, they were created through human consciousness and attention. Millions of hours of thought, writing, reading. Some traditions suggest that places of learning and contemplation absorb something of this mental activity, creating an energetic environment that supports focus and clarity. Your biofield in such spaces may be subtly supported by centuries of accumulated intellectual electromagnetic activity. The biofield seems to respond to authenticity. When you speak truthfully, when your actions align with your values, when your external presentation matches your internal state, the biofield shows more coherence. Deception or inauthenticity may create dissonance in the field, conflicting patterns as you try to project something different from what you feel. This may be why some people can sense when others are being dishonest. They're unconsciously detecting biofield incoherence, energetic static between what's being said and what's energetically true. Natural hot springs create unique electromagnetic environments. The heat, the dissolved minerals, the geological activity that brings water up from deep in the earth, all contribute to a distinctive energetic quality. Many cultures have considered hot springs healing, building temples and sanctuaries around them. Your biofield in mineral-rich hot water exists in an unusual electromagnetic bath, influenced by the water's conductivity, temperature, and chemical composition in ways that may support relaxation and healing. The biofield's relationship with gravity is understudied but intriguing. Gravity affects blood flow, fluid distribution, cellular function, all of which influence electromagnetic activity. Astronauts in microgravity report changes in consciousness and perception. While many factors are involved, the biofield's response to the absence of normal gravitational influence may be part of the explanation, as the field organizes itself in ways impossible on Earth's surface. Bonfires create a complex electromagnetic environment, intense heat, light across many frequencies, ionization of surrounding air, the electromagnetic dance of combustion. Humans have gathered around fires for hundreds of thousands of years, much of that time predating electric light. Your biofield around a fire exists in conditions your ancestors knew intimately. A primal electromagnetic environment that may touch something deep in your energy body's evolutionary memory. A feeling of safety, community, and warmth that transcends the merely physical. The biofield seems to retain patterns longer when they're associated with strong emotion. A traumatic event can create biofield patterns that persist for years, replaying themselves in the body's electromagnetic rhythms long after the physical danger has passed. Similarly, moments of profound joy or love may leave lasting imprints in the field, accessible through memory, influencing your baseline energetic state. The biofield has memory written not in neurons, but in electromagnetic pattern, in the way energy tends to flow along certain paths because those paths have been traveled before. Wind is moving air, but it's also the movement of electromagnetic potential. The friction of air masses creates subtle electrical effects. Wind can carry ions, affect pressure, change the feel of a place. Standing in strong wind, your biofield is literally buffeted by these moving electrical potentials, interacting with the atmosphere's electromagnetic dynamics in immediate, tangible ways. Your field bending and streaming like smoke in the wind's invisible flow. And now, as we come to the end of this journey through the invisible light that surrounds you, let yourself simply rest in this knowing. You are more than flesh and bone. You are electromagnetic energy, flowing and pulsing with each heartbeat, glowing softly with each breath. Your biofield extends around you like an embrace, connecting you to the earth beneath your feet, to the air you breathe, to every living thing that shares this world with you. Right now, in this quiet moment, your field is here, present, alive, constantly renewing itself. It has been with you since before you were born, and it will carry you gently forward through all your days. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to change. Simply be aware that you exist in this soft envelope of energy, held safely in the larger field of earth, sky, and stars. Let your eyes close now if they haven't already. Feel the warmth of your own presence, the gentle rhythm of your breath, the quiet pulse of your heart, sending waves of light through the darkness. You are safe. You are whole. You are exactly where you need to be. Rest now in the soft glow of your own beautiful, luminous field. Sleep well.